Hello and welcome to another Doncaster preview show, this time for Monday the 24th. The show will be on Racing Post TV tonight, and the first race is a B3 contest. Quite a tricky event. I just sided with Confident Vincent, who's flying for Debbie Calvert in trap 3. He's won his last 2. Got a real decent chance with Ethan's Kid in trap 2, just edging in somewhat. Read the Rules is an interesting runner, switching back from a spell of sprinting and going back over this 450-metre trip in B3 company, because before he was actually a B2 runner. So if he did start, and he hasn't been starting over the sprint, he could be a runner and give Confident Vincent something to think about on the inside. Magical Kate is an interesting runner, the Guildford breeding there from a daughter of Good News. Joyce's News up on the outside is running pretty well, has to be said. Whether she can get right across this field, I don't know. Jeannie's Duke in trap 5 is just struggling for a bit of form. He'd be a double-digit runner, but no bet for me in the first. Second race is the first of the bets this evening. It's a lowly B7, and the selection here is Dathis Rosie in trap 3. She's a Jan 21 bitch, just having her second run of her life, and that was a big improvement from her debut. She missed a kick in her debut, and she looked lost on the bends, but when getting a decent break, she ran against 3 of these. She ran against Breakaway Ebony in 1, Patricia's News in 5, and Jumeirah Grove in 6. I don't really fancy the outside pair at all. Fancy a Flutter in 4 is probably going through the motions a little bit. Do It Quiet is a runner you can never discount in trap 2, but he's a slow breaker and just runs on late, and his strike rate of 2 from 49 tells the story. But I thought if Dathis Rosie could get any kind of break like she did last time, she'd dominate this field. She got dragged back by Mulcair Dawn and also Turlock Queen when they got to her at the third bend. She lost about 2 or 3 lengths, and if she did about a 28.70, she'd win this easily. So she was the bet. She has been nibbled out in the market, but I put her down as 13-8. She was sort of 9-5 earlier on, but I think she's still a bet at 13-8. Moving on to the third race, the 643. Real hot race, this one, a B2 contest. Liz Kenny Chat's a dog that I like. I backed him in the sprint last week, but he walked out. But he's a very pacey dog. We had a bit of success with Ragtime Lenny on his debut last week in 2. He met Gentleman's Game, who's in 3 in a trial, and there wasn't too much between them. I think Bashful Jess has got a world of pain here in trap 4. She won last time out in the second outing, but this is a much tougher race. Such a Dinger likewise. A win last time out, but in lower grade. Bar is a dog that you can never discount because he's got nice early speed. But all in all, I thought it was a watching race. It's a 3-field race. In the fourth, I was toying whether to bet Clunkoli Shell in trap 1 because she's got a drop in grade, and Sean Parker's bitch is more of a staying type of greyhound. Very fourth, Texas likewise, but he will be moving into the middle. The early pace is going to come from trap 3, Guitar Bob, who walked out in his first effort over this longer 483. He'd been running on over the 450-metre trip and running quite well, actually. Lady Vicky's just struggling for form coming out of season. Fizz Bomb Jelly Pop in trap 5 is a dog that's absolutely flying. A youngish greyhound for Debbie Calvert. Not always the greatest of starters. Will edge in a little bit from 5, but has got early speed. A Massive Ego seems to be struggling for soundness at the moment for Gary Vincent. A bit crabby on the bends, I noticed at Crayford and Oxford when going on a bit of an open race foray. So I was nearly tempted with Clunkoli Shell, but I didn't really want the 2-1, a little bit bigger, being greedy, I suppose, but has got a good draw. Just need that little bit of luck in running to follow probably Guitar Bob or Fizz Bomb Jelly Pop round and pounce late. The fifth race, real tough race. I thought it was a real difficult race to fathom out. Money Hill Jude in 2 probably could lead the race. Ran all right, looking for a hat trick. Moss Panda ran much better after a layoff last week. Will be finishing off, not all the ticket, but a chasing type. Interesting runner's got to be Pinocchio Jim, who's up in trip here for Gary Vincent. Been running without too much success over the sprint trip. And he might just find his feet in this sort of level, but he'd be more of a watching brief. I thought Turlo Queen, she's up 3 grades, got no chance, will be a massive price. And Rosander Best on the outside is a bit of a one-pacer. But again, tough race and no bet. Interesting race was the 6th because it's a B7. There's not too many runners in this race, but I think they're kind of priced accordingly to a certain extent. Top and bottom with the selections. Mulcair Dawn's been running all right without actually winning. She flatters somewhat because she doesn't really start, shows a bit of middle, and she doesn't really come home that hard. If Jamura Bloom could get a break on the outside from trap 6, his centre 2 would be probably a bet. But I really wanted to bet the pair of them, and Mulcair Dawn's a bit short, so I ended up probably just sit this one out. Possible play if it goes anything on the matchbook exchange, 1 and 6 if you can Dutch those. The 7th race, again, another top and bottom race. Barnfield Orchid, Kennel Mates, Barnfield Orchid in 1 and Rosanda Katie in 6. Rosanda Katie probably deserves to be favourite, but has been backed, and I didn't really fancy the evens. I would want more sort of 7-4 than even money. And Barnfield Orchid always tends to do me a favour. Might just have something to think about with Mad Dog in trap 2, just edging in a little bit. The rest of them I didn't really fancy down the centre. So that was it, really. If you can get any kind of 7-4 on the exchange, the 6 dog, Rosanda Katie, and maybe a bit of 11-4, 3-1 might play there. Barnfield Orchid in trap 1. Real tough race, this 8th race, the last of the 450-metre races. Barnfield Bell, she's 7.5 weeks out of season. She's a bit chasey. She gave me a bit of a scare when we bet Hawkfield Gizmo on debut 2 runs back, but she didn't run as well last time out, and it might just be a watching brief. She's a bit of a chasey type anyway. She's short enough around about the 15-8 mark. But to be fair, there's not a lot of runners. Maybe a small play on Cedar Fields in trap 2 around about a 10, maybe even bigger on the exchanges, but stakes at a minimum there. Moving on to the first of the sprints, then this is the 9th race, the 8:38, and I was going to side with Penny's Linnet, but has been back from 15-8 in and is very short now at around about even money mark. She has got a bit of an ease in class here, a quick starter, but she does move middle run up and she cuts the bend, so she'll need to get clear. Dream on Penny can start, but I think she's getting to the end of her career now as a 4-year-old. Baby Tumble is a good breaker, but again, not really showing a lot to the bend. The other dog that has got speed is Conan's Dream, but I just can't get the dog to get out of a box, and he's getting a bit frustrating. And when he does come out reasonably well, he shows nice early speed. Didn't really fancy the inside pair, though. So it was probably 6 on top of 3, but I don't really see too much value. The 10th race, this is a betting race for me. I've gone for trap 4 Midas Tralee in the black here, and shows nice bit of early pace and does keep on well, so no vulnerability here. Rocky Hayes won all right in a weak race last week. This is a much stronger race. Rocco Ladd's quite interesting because did flash out of the boxes when he got bowled over, or dragged back at least anyway, behind Watchwoman. He's had a trial back, it was kind of moderate. Blast Off Unit can always bomb out the boxes, but hasn't really got much speed. Burnfoot Tango is quite a reliable sort, but he needs a quicker way here. But he'll just sail around the outside. So it was Midas Tralee around about a 2-1, 9-4 mark was the bet in the 8:54. The 11th race, another sprint. 2 runners here. I thought was 4 Molly Coddler. This is a much easier D4 than he's been running in. He's a kind of fast starter that has been getting outpaced with slightly faster dogs, so he could get a good break here and lead off. Be Proud on the inside, going through the motions. Rough Tease is a debut, but doesn't really appeal as anything too special. Louis Jets on and off the card, the 5 dog, and seems to be struggling for soundness. Moss Blue Boy was the other runner here. So it's Molly Coddler in 4 and Moss Blue Boy in 6. Moss Blue Boy was around about a 3-1 chance, which I think was acceptable. And Molly Coddler probably won a little bit over 2-1 if you were going to play the 6 there. Midtown Indy in trap 3 is switching back from running over 450s, but didn't look too sound a character. So I'll take that 1761 as a bit of a flash in the pan there in trial company. So 4 and 6 in the 11th. And the last race is the best bet on the card. Blast Off Millie, she's absolutely eyeballs out at the moment. been running really well in D3 and D2 company at the back end of September. She won back-to-back races doing 17.10 and 17.11. She just got a real poor break last time out, and she just got squeezed against the rails with stronger dogs than this. Dido Bell, probably not a brilliant breaker, did win last time out, scrambled home from the 5 and Midtown Hope. I don't think there's too much between them. Jim the Lion not running that well particularly, and was already got beaten by Blast Off Millie. Tommy Zelina, that didn't run very well on his returns, a bit paddly on the bends. So I think all things being equal, if this dog gets any kind of break, Blast Off Millie, a good bet around about the 2-1 mark, and I'd even take 6-4. These are the bets then for Monday, the 24th of October. Trap 3 in the 6.28, Dahis Rosie, around about the 13 to 8 mark. Midas Tralee in the 8.54. And the best bet on the card is in the lucky last 9.28, trap 1, Blast Off Millie. Be lucky tonight. Hope we get a few winners.